Hello everyone, welcome to the Evil Empire. I'm your host, Evil Empire, and this week's feature is Jeskai Opus. So this is the blue-white control deck from seasons past and historic that now has picked up a couple of new additions that are especially impactful to allow it to compete a little bit better in the meta overall. I think this one probably is like a tier 1.5, maybe even tier 1 deck. Jeskai Opus has a lot of things to offer for the best of one queues in the ranked area. I think it's been very competitive for me, and I've definitely lost very few games compared to how many I've won. I think some of the tricky matchups for this deck are definitely the Tainted Pet combo deck. You do have counter magic, but in this particular build you don't have anything that's a hard counter, and memory lapse or commit to memory can easily be gotten rid of with something like a mystical dispute or pact of negation from the opponent. So it's definitely something that you have to look out for with that matchup. Otherwise, I think it does pretty well with the matchup spread. It is favored in most of the creature deck matchups, except perhaps maybe for mono red. But there, your Lightning Helix can help you a little bit, gaining you even just 3 life while removing a threat from the opponent's board is definitely a big game. One of the big pickups from the Mystical Archive for this deck, along with Brainstorm being able to sculpt your hand, is an incredibly powerful cantrip that's been gained from the Mystical Archive for this deck. And then also, of course, Memory Lapse is a big pickup. Prismari Command is something that you can also use against Tainted Pact. You can use the draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards ability, and target your opponent. The Tainted Pact deck would absolutely have to have a counterspell at that moment. So something that they may not be able to prepare for is you like forcing them to draw 2 cards while they're about to win, what they think is about to win the game. Mizzix's Mastery allows us to copy anything we want out of the graveyard. Especially we're looking to hit Magma Opus with that ability. If we can do that on turn 4, that's a huge game against a lot of the creature aggro decks in the format. Being able to just wreck their board and have a huge board on your own side is a pretty big game against them. And also, of course, we're looking to flashback Magma Opus with Torrential Gearhulk. So that's another big endgame that the deck has in store. And I think one of the other alternate win cons that I always enjoy is Narset, Parter Avails, and combining that with the memory side of Commit Memory. That's another way that you can, I draw 7, you draw 1, and pretty much usually wrap up the game at that point because people just don't want to continue when you have a full hand and they have 1 or 2 cards in hand. So that is Jeskai Opus. It's been a ton of fun to pilot in the best of 1 ranked queue. Let's go take a look at some of the games that I've played there this week. Yeah, I think this seems fine. I'll probably keep this. Okay, so opponent goes Snow-Covered Forest into Allosaurus Shepherd, and I'm going to go Raugan Triome tapped. So opponent's very excited that they see a tap land. Okay, they don't do anything on 2, seems weird. Usually have the War Master that turn. Alright, so I'm going to go Fabled Passage, pass the turn with Brainstorm up. Drawing Wrath of God was really good. I'm going to use this Fabled Passage to get the second white. The opponent plays Faceless Haven and Elvish Archdruid. Alright, so I'm going to put back a Memory Lapse and a Prismari Command because they're both kind of useless here. Like, Prismari Command is a good spot removal, but it's a bit overpriced. For this matchup, at least. So just shuffle those away with the passage and fix the mana to be able to Wrath of God turn after next. It's going to make Magma Opus a little bit awkward with Brainstorm. Not going to have enough blue/red mana, but whatever. Just going to deal with it here. Probably should have played Fabled Passage instead of that island, but it's fine. Okay, so War Master is the play from the opponent. They have enough mana for Collected Company, which would be a problem. Sort of. Not really, though. Alright, so just second War Master. Make a couple of tokens. Not much else to do with the mana, so just pass the turn. After... Okay, so make Magma Opus's treasure. And not going to use it on Brainstorm, obviously. Fable Passage. Grab a island, I think. Wrath of God. Really lucky to draw a second one this turn. The opponent has no way of activating Faceless Haven this turn because of Castle Garenbrig. Impervious perfect. Imperious, rather. Perfect. Okay. I could Teferi, I could Torrential here, but I think I'm just going to leave up. Yeah, I'm not going to do this now. I'm just going to leave up Lightning Helix in case they have another play. Okay, so they're just going to move to attack with Imperious Perfect. So I think I'm going to get rid of it here. Marwyn the Nurturer. Okay. Put back Raugrin Triumph. Put back one of the Torrential Gearhulks. Alright, so... Tempting to Mizzix's Mastery of the Magma Opus, but I'm going to hang on to that. Instead, I'm going to go to Teferi.
Right on schedule. You need to slow down.
Tuck the Marwyn. Play Raugrin Triumph tapped. And then just be able to Gearhulk next turn. Yeah. Okay. Main phase Collected Company is a pretty poor idea. It's Imperious Perfect and Marwyn. Okay, well, that's probably worth Wrath of Godding. Even if it means that I lose to Teferi.
Let's skip to the good part.
Can't kill both of those with Magma Opus. I'm 1 damage off from doing that, but... Just wrathing the board here and allowing them to maybe have a Faceless Haven is probably going to be fine. Because the Faceless Haven only gets rid of Teferi, it's not going to get rid of any of my own personal life points. So, I have no beef. Yep, lose Teferi, seems fine.
Let me know if you're up for round 2.
Elvish Visionary from the opponent, draw a card. Alright, Lightning Helix is pretty good. And I have both the Helix and the Gearhulk here. So, yeah, it's pretty helpless for the opponent. War Master is the play. Gonna resolve this. Elvish Clan Caller. Alright, let's just use Helix to take out the War Master. So they don't get any extra elves. And then just Torrential these away. Yep, makes sense, opponent. You have seen that it is over. I don't know about this hand. I mean, it's nice to have the Brainstorm Fable Passage thing, but double Teferi and just Prismari is not going to do it for us, so... Yeah, this is a much better hand. Put back one of the Brainstorms, and turn 4 Teferi. Hope to draw Memory Lapse, because that would be sweet. To have that, you know, turn 4 Teferi with Memory Lapse up when I pass is pretty good. That is known as good as it gets in this deck. Alright, so I'm going to go Raugrin Triumph tapped to start the game. Opponent's going to go Sacred Foundry tapped. Glacial Fortress, pass the turn with Magma Opus and Brainstorm up. Opponent's going to play a Dragon Lord Servant. Oh my. So some kind of Dragon Tribal. Boros Dragon Tribal. It's odd. Alright. Brainstorm. Put back a couple of lands to the top of the deck. Pay the life for Steam Vents. And pass the turn with Magma Opus. Discard up. Leyline Tyrant. Oh, man. Alright, so that's going to get tucked by Teferi. And so make another treasure. Play this land. Play Teferi.
Right on schedule.
Tuck the Leyline Tyrant.
Let's take it back a step.
White mana. What are the good white dragons? I don't understand.
Let me know if you're up for round 2.
Alright, so play Teferi and plus it this time.
This isn't a fight. We need to move quickly.
Yeah, Wrath is good. Wrath is going to be good against them. They're not going to like it when we Wrath away their dragons.
Going to win this.
Alright, so if opponent has another Lightning Helix, then this Teferi is gone. Otherwise, I'm going to discard Magma Opus to make a treasure.
Time for plan B.
What Foretell cards could they have here? Could be like a Glorious Protector, maybe a Starnheim Unleashed, or Quakebringer would be my 3 guesses for the Foretell cards that would be in this Dragon Tribal deck. I think Glorious Protector seems the most likely because it would just be like a flash way to protect from board wipes, but... Alright, so just don't do anything this turn, leave Memory Lapse up. Yeah, but the thing about Glorious Protector is like you're not going to be able to have it up here.
Stop that now.
And you're going to spend so much of your turn like playing dragons and stuff, you're never going to have enough mana to leave up Glorious Protector if that's what it is. I don't know. It's a weird question what Foretell cards would be in a Dragon Tribal deck. Alright, so pass with 2 mana up. Teferi's gonna plus to get out of range of Leyline Tyrant's ability. So they can put Teferi at 1, but they can't kill it with Leyline Tyrant's ability. Yep, so wipe the board. Leyline Tyrant deals 1 to any target. That target's gonna be Teferi, Hero of Dominaria.
Do you want me to phase you out of time?
And untap, untap. Sitting pretty here. 6 mana from the opponent. Another Foretell card. Strange. Do you think they would run like a Doomscar, maybe? Seems unlikely.
You know what?
Plus with Teferi.
I'm not done yet.
Yeah. Drawing the Castle Ardenvale feels pretty good here. I'm just going to spend my mana this turn doing the castle thing. And then I can even leave up another castle activation if I really want to. Yeah, Mind Stone's totally legit. Not going to be hassling you about that until here where I destroy it and you draw a card off of the ability that Mind Stone has. So maybe deal 2. No, let's just do destroy target artifact and then the draw 2, discard 2 thing. Alright, so opponent will draw a card with Mind Stone. Discard this. Discard the Fabled Passage because we don't need land anymore. What? They didn't even draw off the Mind Stone? That's so weird. Super weird opponent. Alright, so Narset.
Those who cannot perceive beyond the meditate and prepare.
I'm gonna take 4th Magma Opus over 2nd Narset. Is it the 4th Magma Opus or 3rd one? It doesn't matter. Gonna untap my island and my glacial fortress and pass. Okay, so Lightning Helix on Teferi doesn't matter. Let's just let it resolve. We have another Teferi in hand anyway. Alright, end of turn, make another soldier token. Or sorry, human token rather. Nice. That's why we have 4 Teferi in the deck.
Hone your prowess.
So play Teferi plus it.
Let's slow this. No time for a break.
Nice. Alright, well this one's locked up. Not much the opponent can do from this spot. Gonna go ahead and play out another land. Why not? Untap Raugrin Triumph, untapped Steam Vents. Drakuseth. Well, I've got something for you here. I like memory lapsing this. Blanking their draw seems better than like killing it with fire from Magma Opus and Lightning Helix. It's just, yeah, this seems fine. I think I'm gonna keep it. Alright, so opponent mulligans to 6. Oh, it's the Tainted Pack deck. That's the only thing that would have Evolving Wilds in it. Alright, so put back Magma Opus and Sweltering Suns. Sulfur Falls, Wishclaw Talisman from the opponent. Alright, so make the treasure with Magma Opus. Steam Vents untapped. The opponent cycles Sensor. Thoughtseize takes the memory lapse. I guess I'm gonna cycle Sweltering Suns in response. Yep, the opponent takes memory lapse as expected. Alright, so play Teferi plus Teferi. Have up the memory lapse. Opponent plays Valakut Stoneforge tapped. Alright, so whatever, just Lightning Helix their face to use mana, because I want to use this mana. Opponent Supreme Wills. Alright. So opponent goes and gets Pact of Negation from their deck with Wishclaw Talisman. See if we can find a second memory lapse here. I don't think I can, but... doesn't really matter what I choose here. And that's game. Alright, so I'm going to turn one Brainstorm. Alright, so put back Raugrin Triome and Brainstorm. World Tree from the opponent. I'll play Sulphur Falls and pass with mana open. Opponent plays Island. I play Prismari Command. Make a treasure. Draw 2, discard 2. I don't think Lightning Helix is going to be very good against them. Brainstorm can go as well. Alright, so Sulphur Falls to Teferi on turn 4. Plus Teferi. And have Memory Lapse up when I untap. Alright, so Sunpetal Grove from the opponent. Maybe the 5 colors would probably indicate like Niv Mizzet Reborn. Alright, so Teferi plus. Alright, crack Fabled Passage from the opponent. Opponent gets black mana with their Fable Passage. Okay, Ingress Rampage, we're going to counter it. Alright, so plus Teferi, play the Sacred Foundry untapped, play Narset. Narset's gonna go grab us something. Alright, Brainstorm's pretty good. Good thing to get off Narset. Untap the Sulphur Falls and the Ardenvale, yeah. Alright, opponent getting to the point where they're roping. Sure, Vanishing Verse on the Narset. I guess I'll let that resolve, and then when they go to do the Ingress Rampage, that's when I'll counter it. Alright, so counter the Rampage. They Lightning Helix to Fairy. That's fine. I mean, I guess I did draw Memory Lapse, so I might as well just do this, yeah. Alright, play the Glacial Fortress plus Teferi. Get him to 8 so we can ultimate him next turn, hopefully. Next turn we can cast Overloaded Mizzix's Mastery, but I think this turn I'm just gonna use Castle Ardenvale and untap with some mana open here. Alright, what's it gonna be here? The Lightning Helix onto Fairy is pretty much a given. Alright, so it's going to be that plus a Trace. Alright, so I'm going to, in response, Lightning Helix this. Alright, so how to split the thing. Could just give them these two face up. Could give them just the Tyrant Scorn, but I think let them grab what they want to have to get rid of Teferi entirely here. So I can just play another one next turn. Yeah, don't have a lot of hard counters in the deck, so definitely afraid that they're going to resolve their Niv here. Yep. Oh, wow. Okay, they don't have Niv. Not in hand yet. Okay, that's pretty good. So draw the Hallowed Fountain again, draw the Steam Vents again. Get to an unknown card with Teferi. Unknown card is the Plains. Alright, that doesn't feel great. Could overload Mizzix's Mastery this turn, which I think I'm going to do. I don't really have much else going. It's going to have the downside of exiling all this stuff out of my graveyard, but none of this stuff is really good anyway. None of it's Magma Opus, so just going to try to dig to Magma Opus pretty much. Alright, a bunch of stuff goes into the exile zone. Start casting it all. Target the opponent. I think I'm going to do the draw 2, discard 2, and the make a treasure token one. Doing the burn part of it is tempting, but just try to have some mana up this turn. And I can't cast any of those, obviously. Okay, so put back a couple of cards. Sweltering Suns and Steam Vents seem fine. Discard the island and another land. Alright, so Veto's pretty good, but it doesn't counter Niv Mizzet Reborn, so that feels pretty bad. Man, no Magma Opus. Like, Magma Opus must be in the bottom 10 cards or so. Discard a card? Discard Mountain, then. Alright, Yasharn's pretty good for the opponent. Alright, opponent plays land, passes turn. I'm gonna cycle the Sweltering Suns and probably wrath the board away from the Yasharn and this one token here. Actually, wait, I can probably just attack, right? They'll block it. And then Yasharn can die to the Lightning Helix, and I'll hang on to the Wrath until they play their Niv Mizzet Reborn. Nah, just get rid of them both. Yeah, I guess I want the Lightning Helix to be able to go face anyway. Create the treasure token. Draw 2, discard 2. Oh, nice. Yes, having commit is going to be huge here. So now we can just stop the Niv from even resolving. Yep, so put back the Niv Mizzet Reborn into Narset plus commit memory next turn. Alright, so first Gear Hulk, but still no Magma Opus in sight. Feels bad. Maybe our Narset activation can reveal it, but we'll have to wait until after we memory. God, still no magma opus. This is comically bad. This is kind of a tough choice, but I think I take Lightning Helix. Plus on Teferi. Another Gear Hulk, okay. I guess if they Niv Reborn, we can, like, Lightning Helix, Torrential Gear Hulk, Flashback Lightning Helix, but that's a pretty ugly play. Alright, discard 2. It's going to be the 2 lands that are the most annoying here. So, just the shock lands. Not much I can do here if they Niv Reborn. Helix I can do something about. Alright, yeah, Niv Reborn happens. Looks like they're going to get a Lightning Helix, a D-Spark, Yasharn, and Klothys. Alright, I can deal with all of these in different ways. Alright, so D-Spark the Teferi, fine. Pass the turn. Alright, so search for Magma Opus with... Yes, okay, finally. So what's the way here? Probably starts with discard Magma Opus. Then goes into, like, play Torrential Gear Hulk, and then finish off the Niv with Lightning Helix. I flash back the Opus with Mastery instead of the Gear Hulk, and just hold on to Gear Hulk. Tap 2 permanents. Lightning Helix the Niv to finish it off. Untap, untap. Alright, they get to do some stuff here. Play out the rest of the cards they drew with the Niv. Alright, so leads on close this into Yasharn. Oh, your own Teferi, okay. Well, what's the play with that? Probably tuck the token, right? Lightning Helix targets Teferi. Yep. Gets rid of my 4/4. Alright, looks like Prismari Command is going to take out their Teferi. Deal 2. Draw 2, discard 2. Alright, I will use the next Teferi to take out Klothys. That makes their playing of Yasharn really bad, because Yasharn's going to shuffle away their Klothys if they play it here. Make a 1/1, untap a pair of lands. Alright, opponent is going to play the Yasharn. Shuffles away their Klothys, which they perhaps just realized. Vanishing Verse on Narset. Big Pig hanging out. A lot of plays I could make here, but I think this is the right one. Let them block with Yasharn and then... Oh, okay, not going to do that. Fine. Figure out a way to get rid of it otherwise. No. No Magma Opus here. Only 13 cards left in the library. Gear Hulk. Flashback Prismari command. Deal 2 and then do the Faithful Suiting ability as well. So it gets rid of Yasharn. I draw 2, discard 2. Nice. And I think I can also discard Magma Opus, make a treasure, and then play Gear Hulk. All in my... Or rather, all on the opponent's turn. I'm going to play out the passage here, but I don't know that I have lands to go get. Yeah, no, I don't. They're all on the battlefield. Yeah, so once I untap these two, I should have enough to Magma Opus, discard for a treasure token, and make the Gear Hulk to flashback the Magma Opus. And that should be enough to get them on my next turn. Yep. And play the Torrential Gear Hulk by sacking the treasure. Flashback the Magma Opus. Gonna have 10 damage, plus 4 is 14. So just need to find 3 more with like a Lightning Helix or something. Okay, they get to Fairy, they get my other Gear Hulk. But I don't mind that because I get to flashback Magma Opus. Alright, deal 4 to the opponent's face. Back to being my turn again. Okay, drawing Magma Opus means I win here. So, attack with everything, then deal 4. And that's game. And I'm back with Jeskai Opus. So as far as changes that I think I'd make to the deck, I don't know that there are very many changes. I think if you look at the counterspell suite in terms of Dovin's Veto, Memory Lapse, and Commit Memory, there might be room for a hard counter in the deck, especially if you find that you're facing a lot of the mirror match. That's an example where you probably want to have at least one Saw It Coming, or whatever your counterspell of choice is, whether that's Neutralize or something different. But I don't really recommend splitting any of Memory Lapse with Sensor. I have seen some decks offering like a kind of a 2-and-2 split Memory Lapse and Sensor. I just don't think you really want to be cycling your counterspell, and if anything, you're just going to kind of put it back on top of your deck with Brainstorm, hopefully shuffle it away with Fable Passage, but I don't think that you really want to be splitting Memory Lapse with Sensor in this deck. Just not my personal preference, but I think Lightning Helix has been a huge pickup for the deck that was usually running Baffling End in this spot. That's one big area of improvement. The spot removal is much better with Lightning Helix, and Lightning Helix can go face in the later game, as we saw. And then also Mizzix's Mastery, just being an alternate win con. If you can overload it, it usually gets enough value to be able to win you the game more or less on the spot. Although, of course, we saw in that last game that after I did resolve an overloaded Mizzix's Mastery, that was actually for the first time, by the way, that I had kind of dealt them enough damage to get them within range, and then it was just a matter of sort of finishing them off with Magma, Opus, and Torrential Gear Hulk. Those being ways to sort of close the gap in a hurry in the last few turns of the game when you really need to get there. So overall, I've been very pleased with the deck. I think it's extremely competitive. I've made only a small amount of change from the list that I saw kind of making the rounds at different tournaments and such in Historic. Basically just I replaced the Day of Judgment one-of with a one-of Sweltering Suns, because at least that can cycle away when it's not useful, either in control mirrors or just times when your sweeper has kind of lost its usefulness because they have like an indestructible creature or something. So being able to cycle away with Sweltering Suns, the cycling ability has been pretty key for me. And I've also been really impressed with Prismari Command in Historic. I just think it's a fantastic card. So that's going to do it for this week's feature. Thank you so much for watching. This is Evil Empire signing off. See you next week.